Here's a claim that sounds impossible. For roughly 2 centuries, an entire region of the world wasn't just described by Western scholarship, it was built by it. Not discovered, the way you'd stumble onto a fact that was already true. Manufactured, pieced together out of accumulated texts, institutions, and habits of description. Over time, that construction started to feel more real, even to the people producing it, than the place itself. Most people who've heard the word Orientalism think it means something simpler than that. Bias, a tendency to stereotype, an old-fashioned habit of exaggeration that polite scholarship has since corrected. That is not the claim. The claim is structural. Picture the version of the East you've probably absorbed without ever choosing to. Genies and lamps, crowded bazaars, veiled mystery, a strongman ruler or a wise old sage, take your pick. None of that is random. It's a set piece. It was assembled over 2 centuries out of paintings, novels, travel diaries, and textbooks. Piece by piece, it started to feel more real than an actual visit to the actual place ever could. That set piece isn't a location on a map. It's a thing that got built. And that's what this series means by the Orient. So where does a construction like that actually come from? Strangely, the answer doesn't start in the Middle East at all. It starts with 2 thinkers who were never writing about it in the first place. The first is Giambattista Vico, an 18th century Italian philosopher. His argument is simple. Human beings can only truly know the things they made themselves. Nature keeps its secrets. History does not, because we are the ones who built it. In plain terms, if people built the idea of the Orient, it wasn't something they found. And if it was built, it can be taken apart the same way it was put together. The second is Michel Foucault, who argued that producing knowledge about a subject is never a neutral act. It is a form of power exercised over that subject. In plain terms, whoever gets to say what a people are like also gets something else. They get to say how those people should be ruled. So what happens when you put those 2 ideas together? You get the starting claim of Edward Said's Orientalism. The Orient as an idea was built, and because it was built, it can be studied the way you'd study any other manufactured thing. Not by asking whether it's true or false. Ask instead who built it, with what materials, and to what end. That approach produces one distinction that ends up doing most of the real work in the whole argument. What is it? There is a latent layer, stable, mostly unspoken assumptions. The idea of a place as static, sensual, prone to despotism, in need of outside management. These assumptions do not change much over time. And there is a manifest layer, specific claims, specific evidence, specific books and policy papers, all of it used to justify those assumptions, whatever the moment calls for. This layer changes constantly. What counted as proof in 1830 is not what counts as proof today. So what does that split actually look like in practice? An 1830s book might say the region's people need a firm outside hand. Their societies, it claims, are trapped in ancient custom. A modern policy report might instead point to weak institutions, a lack of civil society, or historical trauma. Different evidence, more careful language, but underneath both sits the same unmoved assumption. These societies can't govern themselves, it says. Someone else has to. The proof changed. The thing being proven didn't. Why does that distinction matter more than it sounds like it should? It means a body of knowledge can update its evidence indefinitely while never touching its foundation. Scholars can abandon an old claim as outdated. They can congratulate themselves for the correction and never notice that the underlying assumption behind the old claim didn't go anywhere. It just found new evidence to stand on. This is the test worth carrying out of this episode. Not whether a claim about a place or a people sounds current, whether the claim underneath the claim, the assumption doing the real work, has ever actually been examined. Ask what would have to be true for the current version to survive being wrong. Wrong in exactly the same way the old version was. That question doesn't belong only to the 19th century. It belongs to anyone, in any field, who's confident their knowledge is simply objective. So here's the question worth sitting with. What institution produced that confidence? And what would it cost that institution to be proven wrong?